Yeah, I got some of those cups too.
I'm not sure if it's cheap or not, but by the time you buy it, it's
Oh, I know.
saving about 10
I
cents.
got this like a country mug here.
That's
It's all right. It was a gift too.
Molly can have every coffee making gadget that there is.
Oh, she does?
I bet, no, she doesn't drink, it's just me.
Oh.
Like French press, I got an espresso, I have it. It's just like,
I have a Keurig and a real espresso machine. I love my espresso machine.
Yeah.
It's a Breville.
Yeah.
Oh, without it, I like it. I like it.
What? It's Kirk.
hey, hey.
Hey,
Somewhere,
you're welcome.
Saved you the most inconvenient seat to get to.
Oh, yeah, you're all the way.
Climbed over, come on.
Good evening. This is the Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 meeting of the Finance Committee. It is a joint meeting with the Select Board. We are at the Public Safety Complex at 576 Pleasant Street here in Paxton. And we are also by way of a Zoom link, which can be obtained on the town's website, or if we scroll down, there is the link on our agenda for this evening. We are a committee of 7. There are 6 of us that are present. 4 is a quorum. I declare we have a quorum, and we're open for business. I believe the Select Board may want to wait a while to open their meeting. Is that true? Or do you want to do it?
We're posted for 7:30.
Okay, perfect. So our agenda is shown here. I think if, with everybody's blessing, if you don't mind, I'd like to take it a little out of order and go to number 8, which is the review of our meeting minutes of September 17th, which have been sent to everyone. And the question is, are there any questions, any points of order? Motion to approve? Questions need answered, or whatever?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any discussion? So I'll offer some discussion because there were some things here that were contingent. You recall that one of the year-end transfers we thought was out of a certain time frame.
Yep.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bullet, which was the minutes were approved, or the motion rather, that day was approved contingent about finding that that was okay. I have a letter from the town accountant who checked with the town auditor. Wonderful people themselves, and they concurred that it was in compliance.
Oh.
So therefore, we're in good order.
Good.
There was also mention on page 2 that there had been the unfortunate disaster of the tornado sightings, and I'm happy to report that, and Chief Pingatori is here, but as a footnote to those minutes, that a submission has been made to state legislature for reimbursement, and I think at the end of the email, I don't want to spot you, Mike, but he said fingers crossed, and I think that sums it up well. Hopefully, we'll get some good news. So with that, I think the matters of the minutes are complete. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None.
Abstain.
And Carl needs to abstain, and raises a good point. Needed to abstain because he was not present, and we'd like to welcome Carl for his first live meeting with the Finance Committee. Thank you, Carl, and welcome.
Thank you.
And would like to welcome David Bloom for his first meeting that's at the beginning of the budget season, even though I don't think this is actually his very first meeting, but the first one of this nature. So motion's been made and approved, and with one abstention. So now we have the matters of the warrant articles. And I don't know if I should apologize or be congratulated for getting you the final set of warrant articles, but everybody worked as hard as they could and as fast as they could on the heels of a Monday night meeting. And Robert, thank you for sending what you did, and Donna for sending what she did. So we have those in front of us this evening. There are 9. Numbers 7, 8, and 9, which is going to take us a minute to get to. Members of the ZBA have asked if we could allow them to speak to those particular articles. Unfortunately, couldn't arrive here until 7:15, so I think we're going to have plenty of time to cover the other ones, and hopefully that arrival will take place at that particular time. So the first item here, unlike what maybe has been first article, that is, I would prefer that we make the motion as it reads, as opposed to have me read it into the minutes, if that's okay with everyone. And this has to do with a special injury leave indemnity fund. If you don't mind, I think it would work well if we had discussion and then the motions, if the committee is okay with that. So some of the discussion that I would have, Robert, is it says, second line allows the town to create a special injury leave indemnity fund. Doesn't need to be disclosed, but I believe we're in a position right now where that may come into play. So I think what I'm about to ask is not taking away from the good idea.
Okay.
But it says a fund, then the question is, how much is going to go into the fund? Where are the funds coming from to put into the fund? And the second thing is it would be expended by the town's chief executive officer. Present company excluded, but we don't know who may follow you in your position. And my sense is that shouldn't it be include the select board and/or the finance committee to expend those funds and not simply the town administrator? So those are my 3 questions. How much in the fund, where's it come from, and who controls it?
Okay. Well, thank you for those questions. And right now, we don't have a specific amount that we will be putting in that fund. We currently draw funds from elsewhere right now that we're paying out. So this is going to help with accounting so that we have a dedicated line item for paying this. So that's why then we can be more transparent where it's coming from and actually allocate the funds there. And then as far as the town's chief executive officer, we would obviously take your, perspective into consideration and obviously partner with the select board as well. So I believe.
Which I personally believe you would.
Yeah, but you would
but
like
the
to have
article
it
doesn't read
reflected
that way.
in there.
So I don't know what the comfort level is, but those are the questions.
I mean, that's something that we talk about during budgets, right? And then ultimately decide what's in there, so.
Any other discussion?
The only thing I would have on this, so I mean, because of what this topic matter, the reason why funds would be extended or expended rather, I'm not sure that it's more of kind of a HIPAA, it's like a HR type, I don't know, I don't know how much, how would we approve that? We can approve general funding amounts, but as far as specific amounts, I don't know, it's a little bit of a different,
Yeah, good point.
yeah, I don't, more of a.
Don't have the answer, so in the form of a question, Robert, what do you?
I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We can't designate a specific amount without, I guess, divulging that information or.
Yeah.
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 We're-
So basically, this is just to streamline the system you currently got in place.
Correct. So we have to pay that, and it's simply just to give us a dedicated line item for it.
So for those who are listening, want to go on record again, it's a great idea, and for those who may be impacted by it sooner than later, it's a great idea. But our job as a finance committee is sometimes different than the virtue of the article itself. So that was the nature of the question.
Okay.
So is there a motion?
I'll make, if I may, make a motion to approve Article 1 Special Injury Leave Indemnity Fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Article 1 passes. Article 2, firefighter retirement benefits. Mike, I thought you did a nice job Monday explaining this. You're present, so that I don't misspeak. Could you help us out explaining this?
Good evening, Mike Piccitori, Fire Chief. So Article 2, what this does is it adopts the language for MGL Chapter 32, subsection 4, 2B, and Chapter 32, subsection 4, 2B and a half. What it does, it allows the call firefighters or reserve permanent, intermittent, or call firefighters to buy back their call time. So when they move on and become permanent firefighters somewhere in the Commonwealth, they can then buy back the call time they put forth in the town of Paxton, whether they become permanent full-time firefighters in Paxton or in other towns. They can then buy their years of service back through Worcester County. It's really a formality to adopt the language. It does not cost the taxpayer any money. B and a half. So the next section on this, B and a half, is so that they can buy back their time beyond 5 years. So if someone was a call firefighter here for 10 years or 15 years, they can then buy back more than the 5 years allotted in Section B. So,
Mike, can you explain buyback?
yep. So up to 5 years, it's year for year. After the 5 years, they accumulate the time in either the calls you made or the shifts that you may have worked, and they prorate that into like 1 month increments towards your retirement. So the employee buys back that time. Again, no cost to the town, it's cost to the employee. But then they can buy back that time and put it towards their current pension as it may set.
Mike, you previously made mention of this could be a source of retention and attraction.
Yep.
of people.
So, yep, that is my hope, that I can use this, because what happens is we tend to hire a lot of call firefighters over the years. Some that start out here, they like it, they get hired by other departments, they move on. With this, the more years of service they put in here, the more they can buy back and put towards their pension and maybe use it as a benefit in their next job. We do have a lot of firefighters that have come through the ranks and moved on to bigger departments such as Worcester, Westboro, you name it, and this would help them to buy it back for their future use. And then also, as the younger kids come on, this is something they can look forward to as they go to a permanent career in the fire service.
Thank you.
Mike, just a quick question on this. What, any sense of what other communities do? Like how many communities do this or adopt this language?
Yeah, so as of this last fiscal year, I can tell you Rutland and Holden passed it along with West Boylston.
Yeah.
So most of the towns around us are starting to pass this because they've either had members that were call firefighters that have moved on, or they're permanent firefighters now were call firefighters for several years before they got a promotion up to a full-time firefighter.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, is this only for individuals that have, say, done like on-call in the town of Paxton or potentially somewhere else? So like, for example, if someone did calls in Leicester
Yeah.
and they now work for you,
So what
that
they
would depend on what Leicester would do,
Yeah.
or does this affect them?
This
as well?
does affect them, so we have to adopt this language, so somebody who worked here can buy back their time here, But like the town of Leicester, or if I took someone who was in Rutland here full-time, they have adopted it, so they can buy back their time in Rutland. Same with, I have one member now who was on call in West Boylston for years, so he can buy back that time. So as long as the towns are passing this language, they can do that. So most towns are, just because it is actually a benefit for retention on the call side. The more years you put in, the more you can boost your retirement at the end. Yep.
Like right now, there's nothing?
They can buy up to a certain amount of time for the first 5 years, but they can't buy that full credible service.
Okay.
Yep. 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 Any other questions?
Any further questions? Is there a motion
I'll move
to
approve this.
approve? Motion to approve Article 2. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Do we have a second?
I second.
Second.
Yep, sorry.
No further discussion. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Article 3, bylaw corrections. Robert, you just want to add a little commentary to that?
Yes, so currently, when there's a simple correction as, say, it goes from 3 to then 5 in the document, we're not currently able to make a edit to that simple correction without going to town meeting and actually having it voted. So by doing this bylaw correction for Article 3, that would give our town clerk the ability to make a simple edit like that without altering the actual information of the bylaw.
And this is for the zoning bylaw only?
Yes, that's correct.
Is there a reason why it doesn't say zoning bylaw corrections?
It says it
Says zoning
like
bylaw.
numbers 2 zoning bylaw articles, like sections, subsections. So it's just in further.
Okay.
It's just not in the title.
What's the genesis behind it? Going forward for the ability to do that, or was there a discovery that there's a lot of existing corrections that need to be made?
That is why, because there are existing ones that we would like to see cleared up, and then just setting us up for success in the future.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
Move to approve?
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second? Any further discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Article 4, stormwater bylaw, there was actually a substantial attachment that was sent along with the bylaws. I'm not reading that either, by the way. But it was pretty clear. Not sure if Jeremy, I guess he can go there. There was a lot of highlight for us in the document, highlighting what the changes were, the additions were. I found that they were mostly definitions added to a glossary, so to speak. I didn't see anything substantial other than that. So, yeah, it was just my observation. You certainly are entitled to your own. Any discussion, any questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve Article 4.
Motion to approve Article 4. Is there a second?
Second?
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Article 5 has to do with the Wachusett Regional Assessment, in which case the article reads to, and I said I wasn't going to read them, but let me read this one. To see if the town will vote to reduce the amount appropriated for the town of Paxton's assessment to the Wachusett Regional School District for FY 2026 by $50,000 from the amount previously approved at the June 16, 2025 annual town meeting, or take action thereof. So, Robert, you and I received a communication from the Wachusett Regional School Committee chairperson, and I sent that same thing out to the committee on September 14th, 2025, in which case it showed that the assessment adjustment was for $46,528. And my question is, shouldn't Article 5 read for the exact amount of what the assessment adjustment is? I don't want to chase small dollars, but we've rounded up, but that would mean that we're adjusting the assessment for more than the assessment's been adjusted by. So I thought it should read exactly what the assessment was reduced by, $46,528.
So I had a different number than that $6,000 number.
So I'm looking at her calculation,
Yep.
in which case our assessment is now reduced from 8,358 to 8,312. I've rounded, which I don't want to do because I'm trying to get away from that, but that's
Yeah, exactly.
$46,000.
Okay.
So I'm not quibbling over the 50,000 versus the 46. I'm quibbling over, technically, shouldn't we do it for the exact amount that it was reduced? That's my question.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to, yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So we just look into that, Robert, and change
Okay.
that.
So, how can we vote approval contingent upon the number changing to the actual number? Is that something that we can do?
Yes.
Because I don't want to hold up the warrant articles for that.
Thank you. Yes.
But can we do it contingent upon, so the motion would be to approve it contingent upon the $50,000 being changed to the exact.
The exact amount that was reduced from the assessment.
Can I make that in the form of a motion?
Sure can.
I did, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any
Should that include any, should that include what it was and what it is? Or
Yes, the schedule right here.
Okay, so it's good enough just to be on, it doesn't need to be in the
Yeah.
actual,
Right,
okay, perfect.
right. So motion's been made. David seconded it.
No, I think Jeremy. Who seconded?
I seconded it.
Seconded,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff
okay.
seconded.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
I
Opposed? Non-abstentions? None. Article 5 passes with the condition. Article 6, taking that, according to how the article reads, taking that $50,000, which is now going to change,
Correct.
and move it into the stabilization fund. So the question that I raised there is what was taken from the stabilization fund, which I think Monday night, the argument was for the select board to put back into the stabilization fund what was taken out. What was taken out was not 50,000 and not 46,000, but 43,907. So shouldn't this article read, if we're going to replenish the stabilization fund for that particular reason, and I'm looking at the town accountant, this is posted on the website under her reports,
Yep.
shouldn't we put that exact amount back in and not 50, notwithstanding the typing error that's, because I think it looks like $50 right now. So not trying to be difficult, but don't want to get caught of not being something technical. So, and the board approved, the select board approved 50,000.
Correct.
I have a second question, and unfortunately, Peter, you have a quorum, 2 minutes away, I guess, because you're right, you can't call your meeting to order until 7:30. So let me hold that. The other concern I have is notwithstanding putting in what we took out. I think is a virtuous position. But putting 43 into a stabilization fund and bringing it up to 290, when I think we could put this same amount in the capital depreciation fund, which has $38,000, which is not going to buy us boo. Could we consider, notwithstanding the vote that's already been made by the select board, recommend that that go into the capital depreciation fund, where there's substantial need for that currently, in terms of many departments being under-equipped. Their needs are probably of the 1 and 2 or $300,000 level. So somebody would argue, well, 80,000 isn't going to help, but I would argue 80,000 is going to be a lot better help than 37,000 is going to be. Not the least of which is we just purchased the dump truck for 60,000. So maybe there's another market out there for another DPW vehicle that if it were in the capital depreciation fund, we could use it. So Article 6, I like the spirit of what we're doing, but is there a way to get the number exact, and is there a way to direct it to a different fund? Don't mean to complicate things, but I'm just submitting to you the need and the usefulness of it being in capital depreciation would be substantially greater. It's 7:30, Peter. You want to call your committee to?
I'll call to order the Select Board meeting for November 12th, 2025, seeing as though it is now 7:30. The $50,000 figure, I will take responsibility for that. I was not privy to the amount that Wachusett had lowered the budget. That was not forwarded to me, so I will take full responsibility for that. As for the spirit of the article, at the time of balancing the budget, when the suggestion was made to take the money out of stabilization and replenish it when Wachusett reduces their budget, at the time we were anticipating about $80,000, I was asked to, I don't want to say guarantee, but I was asked for assurance that we would follow through with that and put it back into stabilization. So the spirit of the article does come from me, and it was to basically keep my word where I had provided that assurance that I would follow through.
Yeah, and I think we were all present when that discussion was made, and I'm not sure it was so formal, but I would be technical and say there are two stabilization funds. There is the stabilization general fund, and there's the stabilization capital depreciation fund. So we could argue that the use of the word stabilization could in fact include both funds.
I'm not looking for an argument, sir. I'm just saying
No,
that
I understand.
I was asked to replenish what was taken out. My assumption, if my assumption was incorrect, then my apologies. My assumption was that it came out of one account, it goes back into that account. But certainly, if your thinking on that matter was different, then again, I apologize for misunderstanding.
No, the thinking of the matter was if we get the money, let's put it back. So now when we have a chance to put it back, the question is, we've got a couple of choices as to where we can put it back. So it's not trying to be argumentative on my end either. I'm just trying to get the best bang for the buck that we could increase the capitalization of the capital depreciation fund, which may be useful to us in the next few months. That's all.
It could, and I certainly understand your point. My concern would be that our general stabilization fund is frightfully low. It should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10%. We were told by a former auditor that it should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% of your budget. So we're looking at closer to 1.5 million. And now we're saying, well, we'll get it up to, what, 290,000. So I'd like to see the money get put back into the general stabilization. I agree with you, it's not much. It's certainly not as much as we'd like, but certainly we can discuss it. We're only 2 people out of 12 here, or 11 tonight.
Yeah, can I add? One thing that I think we should be thinking about in addition is that when you put it into capital, you're actually restricting its use to capital items, whereas if it goes into our general stabilization account, it can be used for pretty much anything. And where this budget season, not to, give a preview of things to come later in the meeting, but where this budget season is looking to be probably dicey, it might behoove us to put it in the place where it can be most liquid.
Yep.
I would agree with that, Julia.
So my point to that is, I agree with that, but the same argument could be made to putting it into capital depreciation, that the needs are absolutely clear and concise and desperate and significant. And that's why I like capital depreciation. But that's not how the article reads. So we have 2 issues. What is the amount going to be? Is it going to be the corrected amount? Or is it going to be the 43,000 that we took out? I think it should be what we took out.
I agree.
Okay, so that would change the 50,000 to become 43,907. Carl?
The only question I would have with that is that it seems there's still a funding mismatch, because if we're getting, say, 46.8 from the district and we're pushing 43 to stabilization, there's still like 3,000 that's just out there.
Arguably, you could put the 46, if that's the corrected number, which I believe it is.
46,528, I just checked the email.
Yeah, so it's been validated, it's 46. Put 43,907 into stabilization to replenish it from what we took out last year to comply with what was discussed, and put the rest in capital depreciation. And that way there, Carl, we're distributing the full 46,000. That's enough.
So be it, yeah.
It's 2621 is left over.
Is there a motion somewhere in there?
Feel free.
Move to approve based on, or contingent on the correct number with 40, I don't have the numbers.
Yeah, that's right, so it'll be 40.
The 46, 520.
Carl.
528?
Carl.
528.
Carl, I think the motion should come from the select board rather than finance, because it's our warrant.
What, Carol, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I think the motion should come from the select board rather than the finance committee, because it's the numbers are, that warrant is our article.
So you'd have to make a motion
You
to
want me
change
to
the
do
article,
that?
and then we could vote on it.
Okay,
That's fine.
I got you. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So your number would be 43,907, makes the stabilization fund whole again.
And the balance,
$2,621 left over.
One more time, Jeremy?
2621 left over.
Yeah.
After the stabilization fund is replenished, 43,907.
Okay. Chair, I would like to make a suggestion that we put the full amount back in that was reduced from the Massachusetts assessment. I don't see point in putting 2,000 or 3,000 in another account, especially as we've already got the warrant articles in place.
So my question would be, are we can change the numbers in the article, that I know. Is that changing would we have to provide another article in order to do that?
For the capital? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah.
I think we could word it
So that it was in the same
within the
one?
one, but I just don't see the point in putting 3,000 or 2,000 something in capital. It just seems cleaner just to do it all into stabilisation. And as Julia said, capital can access
Yeah.
the stabilisation. Stabilisation can't access the capital.
I know it seems like a real simple and easy correction, but if You just modified it to town stabilization accounts. Does that cover it?
No.
No, they
There's
have to
two
be
separate
specific.
accounts.
Okay.
There's the stabilization account.
Easy
there's
way
the
to do it, I guess.
stabilization
Great
account.
idea, though. I like the idea.
That's, you know, it's just simple.
According to,
Specific.
there's the stabilization account and there's the capital stabilization account.
So are we not at the select board making a motion?
Was that a motion?
You can accept that as a motion.
So the motion would be to put 46,528 back into stabilization.
Whatever that number, the reduction is, yes.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, it's on.
So don't touch anything.
Not touching.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Kirk, I'd like to
Okay.
get your input on this.
Well, I spoke up earlier and it didn't seem like anybody heard me, so I just wanted to make sure I was being heard.
We didn't then.
It's when the agenda's on.
Go ahead.
No, I think it should go. I agree with you guys. It should go back into the stabilization because we're going to need some flexibility.
Chris?
I agree. It's short money, but having it all go back to the general stabilization, I think would be able to use it in other capacities if it allows us to move it more quickly, or to move it, period. So I would agree with the board.
So then we have a motion and a second to change the $50,000 figure to $46,528, which is the amount of the reduction in the Massachusetts assessment to go into the general stabilization account. All those in favor, Carol?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Julia?
Aye.
Kirk?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Do we have a motion to accept the select board's new motion as being Article 6?
So moved.
Second.
Second, discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Thank you. Articles 7, 8, and maybe 9. We said we would hold it up to 7:15, and we did it to 7:41. So, Roberta, you want to come forward and help us through this? Roberta is the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, who has been working cooperatively with the Planning Board, not the least of which David Bloom has been a member, and Neil Bagdis has run with this, connected at the hip with Roberta, but he sends his regrets this evening. So, Roberta, these are
I'm hoping he didn't set me up.
fairly
No guarantees.
fairly complex, so help us out.
Sure. I'll give you a little summary. I'm sure that I feel like I've been everywhere and yet nowhere for these past few months. I'll give you a little summary on where we are and explain the articles and the way that they're written, and hopefully the need for not having a third article attached. So, as you all know, in June, we passed some zoning bylaws that were really similar to what Robert had talked about. We're a cleanup, consolidation, and making our zoning bylaws consistent in June so that we could now focus on MBTA community bylaw, which is needs to be reflective of and consistent with the zoning bylaws that we have in place, and we needed to really correct before we started that process. We, with the assistance of Mass Housing, a state housing agency, received free consulting services from two organizations, one quasi-public, CHAPA, which is a Citizens Housing Advisory Group, Will Radigan, and then Jeff Davis of Horsley and Witten, which is a private consulting group that does, in particular, zoning, but also specializes most recently since this law passed in 21, MBTA community housing. So this is a zoning bylaw change, simply an overlay that will exist, hopefully, with a vote on December 1st on our zoning bylaw map, and concurrently will have language in our zoning bylaw that speaks to the location, the density of the housing that we're seeking to achieve, as well as particulars around height, setbacks, open space, frontage, things that you would typically see in a zoning bylaw. With the help of the consultants and our very loosely formed working committee, we went out to the community. We did some modeling at first to look at the town plans and maps, wetlands, watersheds, wellhead protection areas, and we focused on areas that in the town did not have an existing home on it, and that was intentional to not really create a lot of angst that we were putting a zone on someone's single-family home. We needed the area to be a minimum of 5 acres in order to accomplish the density that the state is encouraging for zoning. And we initially picked in areas of Asnabumskit and on Grove Street, and I'm actually embarrassed, I can't remember the third one.
Pleasant?
West.
Pleasant?
West?
No, this was like original, way back.
Pleasant
Was
Street.
it Pleasant Street?
Route 122.
Route 122?
Grove Street.
It was Grove, that was, yeah. I think there were 2 on Grove.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2 on
Tony's
Grove,
yard.
1 on Asnabumskit. We had a few public meetings, some in person, some on Zoom. We attended the override vote that occurred at the school, had a board, talked to a lot of people. One very particularly helpful was Matt Erskine, who talked to us about additional maps that showed additional wetland areas. We ended up taking the Grove Street properties off that map. That left Asnabumskit. And through that series of conversations that we had that day of voting, we really listened to the people who had mentioned maybe we want this zone to be closer to a town line so that traffic is not focused entirely on the center of town. So we looked then at the area in particular for the Worcester city line, of which there's a lot of conservation area that exists there. There's also a lot of wet area that exists there, and there were no properties of 5 acres that were not wet that would allow for the density that we required. So then we looked at the two other areas in town, West Street, the Spencer Town border, and then Pleasant Street near the Rutland border. And we brought those to the consultants, and they modeled those, and they seemed to be able to comply with what EOHLC and the Attorney General will be looking for zoning. And we started to socialize those 2 parcels in addition to 95 Asnabumskit. There was a survey that was released on the town website as well as through emails. 180 people took the survey, 180 individual people took the survey. That was very intentional as well. And the 2 parcels that came up were Asnabumskit again and West Street. And I neglected to mention that there was another property owner on Grove Street, 221 Grove, that did volunteer his family parcel. That parcel did not receive as many votes on the survey as Asnabumskit and West Street. So here we are. We had a planning board meeting last week, I believe, with great attendance and great comments. We used the results of the survey, as we had told everyone as we talked about this in our many meetings. We used the results of the survey to bring 2 parcels to that planning board meeting. And at the advice of our consultants, we plan to bring 2 parcels to town meeting. And with the permission of Roger Brunel, who will be moderating that meeting, he agreed that he would discuss those 2 parcels, take a straw poll, and then we would vote on one. Because I think everyone has a strategy. Those 2 parcels are very different. One is hard to develop, and the other one is harder to develop. So we're going to vote. People have a strategy as to whether or not they actually want different types of housing other than single-family housing in Paxton, and they will vote accordingly, and they will have a choice between those two. So these two articles represent the two parcels. They will refer to the separate bylaw language, which will be written into the warrant booklet. And I don't believe we'll have a need for a third one, because the third one is being reserved for the actual zoning bylaw. But I think each warrant article will refer to the zoning language specifically. So there'll be one that says West Street, and there'll be one that says 95 Asnabumskett.
So Roberta, can you explain how we got here, how it was mandated to the town?
Sure.
And what the downside is if both of these fail?
Sure. So Governor Baker signed this into law, as I'm sure everyone is aware of. Massachusetts in particular has a housing crisis. The idea is that the simple premise of supply and demand will assist in solving the housing crisis that we're in. And certainly in communities, Governor Baker's legislation that was signed into law, voted by the legislature, mandated 177 communities in Massachusetts, those that have a commuter rail stop or adjacent to a town with a commuter rail stop will vote in a zone that will allow for more dense housing than probably most of these communities already have. When you look at a community like Worcester, they already have very dense zoning districts, so they didn't have to do anything any differently. When you look at a town like Paxton, which is considered an adjacent small town community, and we only allow for single-family housing, and while we have some smaller lots that existed probably before zoning, our typical zoning today has a minimum 1 acre, most likely an acre and a half lot in all of our zones. So this zone will allow for and encourage more dense housing, so 15 units per acre, which can come in any form or fashion. Doesn't have to be one single building. The penalty, the downside, as communities started to either embrace or not embrace this, the Attorney General stepped in and said, remember, it is a law, it's a state law, we have to comply, giving you all these tools to be able to comply in a deadline, of which we are right up against, December 31st. If you don't comply, a few things could happen, and the Attorney General has a memo, which I'm happy to share with Robert if he wants to distribute it to these committees. But the Attorney General has put forth a memo which says, if you don't comply, you will not be eligible to apply for any grants through the state of Massachusetts. And in addition, there may be some grants that you have either not as a grant but as a operating budget or a line item that can be reduced or taken away. In addition, the state could come in and tell you exactly where you have to place this zone. So without any town opinion, because the town had a chance to do this. So the state could come in and just designate a zone. Or at the very least, the state could say, we won't designate a zone, but if you have an application for housing that's more than a single family, you won't be able to deny it. So right now, we have the ability to put in a lot of good language that specifies how we want this zone to look. There's no requirement for development. There's no requirement that a property owner has to sell their parcel. If the property owner wants to sell their parcel, they can. They don't have to sell it to a developer. So it's just an overlay, just like a watershed protection, just like a business overlay. It's just another opportunity for the property owner to do something different with their property. Robert has put together a summary of grants and state funding that we get, which I think is more in the grant category and not in the sort of line item category like a Chapter 70. And it appears as though from the last 5 years that we have been receiving more and more grants every year, which is great. And it totals for the past, I think, 4 fiscal years, about $3.2 million. So that would go away. I think that's significant to the town. I think that's significant to the Finance Committee. And I think that's why we're here hoping for your endorsement, is that, not only could the state sue us, which, they have not done yet, but just their withholding of any financial aid to the town of Paxton could be devastating.
So last question, Articles 7 and 8, the Select Board voted to approve both of those. I'm sure, don't want to get ahead of the Finance Committee, but I'm sure we'll follow suit. At town meeting, would that be simply interpreted that we're okay with either of the sites? Is that how you would describe? So we're not taking a position one over the other, but voting for both, we're saying whatever the town meeting votes for, we're okay with either or. Is that safe to say? Well,
If that's how you want to vote, I think that would be safe to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the question was asked, why not pick one? And I wouldn't know which one to pick myself. So I like the idea that you've done your work, Planning Committee's done their work, and we're okay with either or.
Right.
And let the town decide.
I think so, and I think what's important and what we'll try to emphasize in the presentation at town meeting is that it is just an overlay, right? So if we were voting on an actual development, right, I think there would be a bigger discussion. As I mentioned, I don't know the last time we've seen a development occur in Paxton, right? We all know our limitations on utilities, infrastructure, prices of land, prices of homes. This will not be. There's no developer lurking in the wings, waiting for this zone. There's plenty of land in Paxton that someone could come with the amount of resources necessary to develop it as a subdivision of single-family homes, and that hasn't happened in some time now in Paxton. So the economics don't change. The pro formas don't change with this. It just allows for more housing to be built, but housing is housing, construction is construction, labor is labor. And what is additionally hard in Paxton is you'd have to put in your own sewage treatment plant. There's no natural gas. There's, in certain particular areas, there's no public water. It's just harder. But we would comply, and I think compliance is valuable to the town of Paxton right now. So while I don't think it's necessary to select a parcel, because I think each parcel brings its own challenges as well as its own opportunities, and people will be voting at town meeting based on a strategy of not wanting any different types of housing in Paxton and some wanting a different type of housing in Paxton.
Thank you, Roberta, very much. Good to see you again. I'd like to go ahead and move Article 7, move to approve.
So no further questions of Roberta?
None from me.
None.
Nope, no, I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Roberta.
Thank you.
Is there a motion for approval of Article 7?
So moved.
I'm not reading it, so as it reads. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. One opposed.
One opposed, okay.
Any abstentions? None. The motion carries. Is there a motion for Article 8?
So I move that we accept Article 8.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I have a discussion point. It says 0 West Street. Now, Carl and I live on West Street, and we know the numbers go bigger as you get towards Spencer. So that, I think, would add a lot of confusion. Even if it is really 0, anybody who knows the area would say, wait a minute, 0 is
Yeah,
the
it's
center
not
of town.
0.
Right?
I think, because I have a couple building lots not there, and there's no address associated, and you often will see
Yeah,
that,
that's
but you're
fine.
right. You're right.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
the map
Yeah.
5 and zone are correct. A lot are correct, but it's
Yeah.
the 0
Yep.
sends a red flag.
So, if I may just interject, yes, agreed. 0 is just typically what land, because there's no address. I think what's important for this in particular, and I'm not sure if I actually made the change, it should be a portion of 0 West Street, and we can use the map and block. And then the difficulty becomes the map and block is X size, which is larger than 5 or 6 acres, and we're just designating 5 or 6 acres within that.
Right.
So it would have to be a portion of said parcel, map, block, lot. But that is an amendment that I should make because it's not the entirety of that.
Do we need to have the 0? I mean, if we just remove it, I think that would avoid that confusion that might be interjected.
not to interject, but at our meeting on Monday night, what we discussed was we needed to run it by town council to see exactly how that language needs to be placed within the article to make sure that we're referencing, excuse me, a plot of land within that larger plot. And so we expect that town council will provide us with that language and make sure that that's accurate.
Could we have a diagram at town meeting showing that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We could probably even include that in the warrant packet. And then there will be a presentation with probably information that you've already heard.
That'd be great.
So could we make a motion to accept Article 8, subject to town council editing it?
No
That
issue
way
with
there we
that.
could, is that, if that's okay, I'll make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
So moved. Second.
Second? Any discussion? None? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One opposition? Abstention? None. Motion carries. I think Article 9 will simply, is there a motion to vote on Article 9 at,
Move to approve?
I'm not sure that's an appropriate, Article 9, I think the motion should be to make a recommendation at town meeting,
So you're,
because we don't really have the article.
okay.
I'll make a motion that the Finance Committee votes to make a recommendation at town meeting on Article 9.
Right. So
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Warrant articles are done. Roberta, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberta.
Okay. So if we go back to our particular agenda and don't have the select boards up there, but there's a lot of commonality, I think, with some of these items, not the least of which is budget guidance and budget calendar and budget process. Robert, I don't want to take anything away from you nor put you on the spot, but you want to chime in on that, or would you like us to tee it up?
I'm perfectly fine with you teeing it up. I just wanted to interject and say that Kirk unfortunately cannot be part of the meeting unless we have him up on the board.
Then we can get rid of this.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All in favor of Kirk?
So moved. So moved. I
He
move
can
anything.
hear you, however.
The noes carry it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
just,
sorry about
Go.
that.
Thank you.
yep.
Sorry, Kirk.
I'm on the board.
So, the short tee-up is that a year ago, there was a fairly extensive budget guidance communication that was worked on mostly by the town administrator, a little in conjunction with the Finance Committee, and it was sent out. So the recommendation that I would make is that a budget guidance communication be, if you already have it, that's great, but be crafted by you, shared with the Finance Committee, and send it out. And part of the guidance was the calendar. And part of the calendar is driven by the Finance Committee bylaws, which has at least 3 or 4 mention of dates. So as long as those are hand in glove, go at it. I think the bigger question that I would have on the budget guidance is, bite my tongue, but one budget or 2 budgets? Do we have the budget that they would like to have, and then the budget that they may have to have if there's a huge deficit? Getting way ahead of everybody, but I'm just want to go clearly on the record, I'm opposed to 2 budgets. I think it should be one budget, tell us what you need, forget what you want and what you'd love to have, but what do you need?
Yes.
That's the guidance I think that they want to hear. They
Yeah.
may not want to hear that, but I mean, that's what the parameters that they want to hear. So
Yes.
that's,
I agree with
don't
that.
mean to get ahead of everybody, but wanted to get that in there.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I'm in 100% agreement with that. I'd like to see a little bit of a simplification this year from what we had the past couple of years.
Right. And don't want to overspeak this, but if they don't know what we're in and what we're going through and what we're trying to get through, then shame on them. So, and shame on us if we don't see that when the budget comes back. So I'm sure that the message will be, and on the heels of last year where everybody was super cooperative, we're looking for that same type of thing. This is of nobody's making, but it is what it is. So do the best you can to help us out, so.
Yep.
So the question is, are you prepared to share that with us, or are you prepared to send it out and copy us?
So I can absolutely send that out and copy the Finance Committee and whoever else on that communication. That's not something that I prepared for tonight.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what direction we want to go. So exactly how you were saying, we're doing like level funding or, one or two proposals. So I'm glad that we're doing the one proposal, and I would just like to see a little more guidance on what amount we should be telling my departments.
Right. So Jeff, I just add this,
right ahead.
would the Finance Committee be okay if Robert crafts it, shares it with me, and then if I'm okay with it, to send it out? I think writing by committee and getting email correspondence is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a little authority that I'm not looking to have, but I think it would be more efficient if it's done that way. So
Fine with that here.
everybody's good with that, so.
Yep.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Super.
So, Mark, so one of the things that I was thinking of, and I apologize, I was thinking as you were speaking just a moment ago, but in terms of providing a little extra guidance to the departments, my suggestion would be to keep it within the 2.5% and maintaining current services. I think I would like to see that language included in the letter. 2.5% for the obvious reason, understanding that once we get a better understanding of what the projections look like and what our possible deficit may be, we are probably going to need to cut, but I think that's a reasonable place to ask people to come in.
So shoot for level services with a 2.5% caveat.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds fair.
I was just going to say, actually, I agree with that. I think that's the right approach. It's great.
Good with
Is
that.
that 2.5% more or 2.5% less?
Don't start trouble. Don't start trouble over there.
Just kidding, department head. Well, that was very, very easy. I think and we're not going to show our agenda right now because we don't want to kick Kirk out, but on our agenda is the Mass Municipal Association publication that I know I shared with the Finance Committee, and I think I shared with the Select Board, because I think at least one or two of you responded when you got it. We might want to consider posting this on the town or the Finance Committee website, because it's kind of a dire wake-up call. Julia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but your takeaway was, it's nice to know we're not alone.
Yeah.
Because of the 351 communities, they cited at least 220 are in a similar situation as we are. Again, don't want to steal the agenda here, but my four takeaways of this 12-page publication, which was very well done, of which everything that Mass Municipal Association does is very well done. Number one, it was an indictment on state aid. That that has disappeared. It's certainly MIA, and it affects the operations of the town, but by extension, it affects the school district, which ends up on our particular plate as well. I don't know what can be done of that, and I don't know if legislators got this and read that and realized what's occurring, but I would say 8 of the 12 pages were how bad it's been, how dismal it's been, and how it's trended so appreciably down. The second thing was they raised the question about Proposition 2.5, which is 45 years old.
Yeah.
Which is not imputed for inflation. So its day may be behind it. I'm not committing blasphemy here by recommending that it become Proposition 3.5. I'm just saying that those restrictions are really binding on the town. The problem with, and there's 4 takeaways, those are 2. The problem with those 2 is that's going to take forever to change.
Yeah.
If there was a big groundswell on Proposition 2.5, that's 2 to 3 years away. State aid is 2 to 3 to 5 years away. The third takeaway is overrides. And unfortunately, we've been 0 for 3 up until the last one, so we wouldn't be leading the league in batting averages 1 for 4, but the good news is we had one, but I think the message should be laid right now is that there's probably going to be another one, because the only other takeaway is you cut services. So either your state aid increases, Proposition 2.5 has a change of character. Those aren't going to happen. You have an override or you cut expenses. I think what we owe the townspeople and the department heads is to have a lean and mean and tight budget as we possibly can. But if you were to do a back of the envelope, back of the napkin calculation right now, we're looking at, I would think, a $5 to $8 to $1 million deficit right now, without even seeing the budgets that are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. So we got some work to do. We got some work to do to balance the budget, to make the cuts, to give the departments and the equipment and the supplies that they need, to give the townspeople the services they want, and not break the bank at the same time. If last year was tough, this is a duplication of last year's effort. So,
Yeah, I just
you
want
don't need to
to,
raise your hand, this is a joint meeting.
well, I understand that, but I also don't want to interrupt anyone. I just want to piggyback on your second point, and I think that this is something that I mentioned a lot last summer when people approached me about the override. And I said, you have to understand that we went through a 3-year period where the cumulative inflation was approximately 20%. And we were able to raise our property taxes 7.5%, which leaves you a 12.5% deficit that needs to be made up somewhere. We were attempting to make up a very small portion of that. And then, unfortunately, we're also looking at the potential, at least I'm reading again through the MMA, of some 9C cuts coming this fall. Well, if 9C cuts come later this fall or early winter, that means House 1 is not going to be a pretty budget. It's lining up. Already we're hearing out of our state legislators that tax receipts are way down. So to your point, it's going to be a very challenging year for us, even with that override. And I understand a lot of people are out there going, all right, you got what you wanted. We're a long ways away.
So I saw Jeff and then Robert.
Yep.
Go ahead, Robert, if I may yield.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I just wanted to go with both of your statements. So I was able to go to the MMA's fiscal summit, and that's exactly what I was hearing out of all the other communities there, was exactly what you just echoed about Prop 2.5 and about state funding. So that was abundantly clear that we're not the only ones in that position, and others are feeling that same constraint. So I just wanted to reinforce what you were saying as well.
So it was terrible news, but you agree with it?
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would have to say echo that. I mean, if you look at the general landscape, the state's doing things like retirement buyouts, offering people to leave positions. None of that is indicative of a very good budget cycle, and I'd really be surprised if it's not worse than last year. I don't mean to be negative here, but I don't see anything in the landscape that indicates that it will be any better than last year, but probably worse. So, but we'll have to deal with it. That's
I guess
And I
my
don't want to pick on them, but every indication that I have with the limited communication I've had with the school district, but have had a lot of communication with the Wachusett Regional Finance Committee chairs, is that there's no appetite for the school committee to come in at 2.5%.
no.
They're looking at 7.5%, 8.5%, maybe 9%.
But what are we hearing about the physical condition of the other 4 towns? Or have you heard anything?
Yeah, they're all going to have overrides.
Yeah.
So Wachusett may come in at 8 or 9%, but they're going to be limited if they can't get 4 towns on board.
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak or speak on behalf of some of the other towns, but there are some towns that would support the school district if they came in at 20%.
No, that's true. I understand that. But we can't be the only ones sitting here thinking, boy, Wachusett's really got their heel on our throat. And I'm not trying to put down the folks at Wachusett. They're doing their job.
Right.
But when you're in a town in the fiscal condition that we are, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we even had some correspondence from a school committee member saying that we shouldn't be foregoing town services in order to support the Wachusett budget. And that's something that hopefully we're going to get another town or two to also get on board with. And it's something that we may want to start working on now, as we used to do in the past.
Again, I don't want to identify them, but I would say that as much as one would go to the wall, no matter what the increase is, there's 2 others that are going to seriously consider not approving the Wachusett Regional School District budget. And I think at some point, we've never done this, but we got to keep the communications open so that they don't say, well, we'll wait for you first, and then all of a sudden, there's only one. We've got to get 2 or 3 of us to send a message, and I don't mean to send a message like they're doing anything wrong, but send a message that we can't afford this.
Well, what we did several years ago, and I want to pass this along because it's been a while, but Carol, myself, and Rich Fenton met with our counterparts from Rutland, because Rutland was going to be, at the time, town number 5. We were town number 4. And what we agreed was that we were going to treat the 2 towns as one, so that Wachusett, the district couldn't come in and just say, all right, we'll negotiate with town number 4. Too bad, whatever happens with town number 5 happens. We were proactive, got together over a couple of dinners, worked out some numbers that would be something that both towns would find challenging, but we could do, and then we stuck together and worked that way. And that was very effective for, 2-3 years in a row? So that's something that we may want to consider moving forward as well.
Yeah. Good point, good idea. So, Carl?
I mean, and I would just add, having sat on the other side, like, for several years anyway, I mean, certainly, like, the biggest question mark that's out there is, and October's normally when, like, the enrollment numbers are much more steady, because depending on, like, what the enrollment number, how they change, that has a pretty outsized effect on what our assessment looks like, because, like, I think it was 3 years ago, we had, like, a 0.1% increase from the previous year, which was, like, pretty much unheard of. Like, it'll probably never happen again. But, like, it did happen, and it was just because our enrollment had stagnated from year to year. And so, whereas we have a boom, then it drives the assessment up a little bit more. But, I mean, certainly, I think sooner we can get, like, the district should start to have some, I think at this point in their cycle, they should start to have some of those initial numbers on what the student population from Paxton is, and that starts to feed into what the numbers would look like kind of for the next year for the assessment?
So as of the October 25 numbers, which would affect the FY '27 budget, Paxton's actually, I'm sorry?
You get the numbers?
Yeah. Paxton's enrollment is actually down 0.16%. So we're down 0.16.
From 24 to 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went up 0.12 last year. This year,
I thought it was down 3%.
I've got 0.16. This is out from Randy Jacobs this week. This
Yeah,
week.
it went from 615 down to 593.
So that's not through the, okay. 593 divided by 615,
Well, it says here.
that's 3.5%.
Well, it says
No,
here.
it's saying change in town share.
That's just our town share.
Yeah, it is down.
Westchester in general went down
Right.
2%.
Right, but our town share is 0.16%.
Okay.
Right, 10% of
Which
3.5.
is not, it's going to affect the operational budget above and beyond
Right.
MLC. MLC is going to be MLC depending on their formula, and their formula, I mean, you'd have to have, well, we have somebody with this, a couple of doctorates who could figure it out. But beyond that, certainly that population decrease should help in the operational budget.
That's, I mean, just, not something like, you can't bank on it, but it's,
I was just going to say, I don't want to be this dissenting vote, but I want to throw in the equation, the formula is flawed.
Oh, it is.
So reduction in enrollment does not automatically equate to a reduction in assessment.
Correct. It's going to primarily affect the amount that, whatever it is, 16, 17% above and beyond MLC. That's where it's going to have the greatest effect, because that is based more on enrollment than it is their formula.
Right. I think we should also keep in mind, though, when it comes to the school, anything that we're looking at right now that might lead us to believe we have a little marginal, perhaps, windfall, if you even want to call it that. I'm thinking that's going to be offset by what's likely to be a reduction in state aid to the school this year. So, that's your Chapter 70. I don't know if we'll still be in hold harmless. And in addition, transportation, I'm expecting that those numbers are going to be low this year.
Right. And what is their elephant in the room is that they have capital needs, disrepaired buildings, way beyond even what we can describe here. They've got a lot more buildings. They've got a sidewalk on the high school that's is going to be closed down if they don't repair.
It's been repaired.
Yeah, they
No,
fixed it.
but
Looks beautiful.
the point is that that's
Yeah.
a long line of a list of a number of things that they have in addition to the operations that they have to confront with. So their budget's going to be tough. Ours is going to be tough. Enough said. So.
Just a quick question, Martin. Sorry if I'm getting ahead here. As far as timelines, Robert's going to send out a letter. Any thoughts on timelines when we would maybe get that back or going forward?
I'm not going to open the bylaws, but I'm pretty sure January 15th is one date, February 1st is another.
Okay.
And if you don't get it in by March 1st, we make your budget up for you.
Okay.
Which I don't think is going to be a problem with anybody. But it's not going to be done, during the holidays.
No, right.
It's usually the turn of, now, whether January 15th becomes January 10th or 12th, I think that's the beauty of the calendar. It's kind of fluid because, we were scheduling time and all of a sudden there's a snowstorm and DPW can't get in front of us, or there's an emergency in the fire department, can't be with us that night. So ours is fluid a little bit, but I think January 15th is the magic date.
Yeah, we definitely want the beginning of the new year, so.
Right.
Yeah, we're on the same.
So looking at last year's, January 1st, departmental budgets are due. February 1st, the town administrator submits a consolidated budget to FinCom.
Right. So can I move on just because I think it ties into this certified cash? And I've been communicating because I've copied you on the communications,
Yes.
What's up, where are we, how are we going? Typically, that has been certified by October.
Correct.
And it's, we don't have it yet.
Correct.
But we have, not that we have to have it, but we have 500,000 baked into the budget last year that anything less than that is going to add to the deficit. That's assuming that we agree to put all of it in toward the budget. So is there a status update as to where that is and when we might be able to know? Good news or bad news or otherwise?
So we're hoping to have that news back to you early next month. So that's something that we're making progress towards each and every day, just trying to make sure.
So when it's in DOR's hands,
Correct.
does that generally come back in 3 days, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Generally, it's a week or two.
So we should have it by the turn of the year.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hold one of our items, and by my review of our agenda, we've pretty much covered everything that we wanted to. Peter, on your agenda, or is there anything sitting in that you need to chat about?
Because that's what really works into our budget calendar.
So I'm being reminded by last year's chair who went through this process with you guys that we got to look at, do we want to keep the annual town meeting date where it normally is, that first Monday in May? Are we going to start thinking about moving it? Because it does fit in with the calendar.
My position is we would be ready whenever the annual town meeting is scheduled. So if you want to have it in the May date, which we typically do, we'll be ready. If you want to move it out, we're not going to against that either, whatever the select board would like to do. But the first Monday in May, I think, is what it has been, or first or second. If that's what traditionally happens, we'll be ready. We'll have a budget for you.
Yeah, I prefer to do that because that's traditionally what's done in town. Of course, there are two pros to moving it, and I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of all of the issues, one of which very often we don't have the state budget yet.
Right.
And we can only move it until June anyways, and sometimes we don't get the state budget until July or August. So, I mean, obviously, that's,
Have limited benefit.
yeah, it's limited as to whether or not we'll know at that point. The second thing, of course, is it makes us no longer the first voting town. And it gives us a better idea of exactly where we're going to stand in terms of the school budget. So those are the two. I mean, there's pros and cons both ways. Like I said, I'm a traditionalist, old-fashioned conservative, love the idea of keeping things the same, but there are some pros to moving it as well.
I'll say again, we'll defer to the strategy of the select board.
We will put that on our next agenda for an early discussion, but of course, we have time to decide that as well. Just looking for what might be the FinCom's preference, that's all.
So we originally thought that we would have the need for 2 of these meetings, and we were having difficulty schedule the second one. Always a good idea to have the joint meetings, but I don't think at the moment we need to set another joint one at this time.
I agree.
Yeah. I think we wait for Robert to share the guidance and get it out, and we'll convene jointly as the need may arise in the future. But I think we covered what we wanted to cover tonight.
Anything else from the board?
I don't.
Carol, we're good?
Yeah, regarding the budget, yeah.
Okay. Kirk?
Sorry, I had to take a call, so I'll abstain.
Very good, sir.
We just voted to restore the stipends for the select board. You abstained.
Can we have one too?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yes, we do.
So moved.
We should not adjourn yet, 'cause we need to update.
Motion been made, second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None.
I said second. Jeremy may have seconded too.
Okay, we're not gonna quite adjourn yet. We just gotta go back over those articles as well now.
Okay.
With those changes, but you guys are all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, you're still open, Peter.
Sir.
Anybody from the public? Sorry, I didn't make mention of that. My apologies.
Oh.
My apologies. Anybody from the public? Okay, well, thank you for coming. We're adjourned. Thank you.
So,
So, just so, can we just clarify for the sake of...
Drag on to like 10, 10:30.
I'm sorry.
as soon as you heard the door, you did.
And just clarify,
Yep.
for the sake of the changes that we need to this warrant, I mean, not opening the warrant, not closing it, we're just making sure that we know what we need for changes, and that we agree to it. Because I did a vote for Article
People started to shut down.
6, but not 5.
Really not productive, I don't think.
Yeah, so 5 we need to update.
Yeah, I believe so. I might have missed something, but...
So 5, we're gonna reduce it by $46,528.
Yeah.
And then Article 6, we're gonna replace the
And
50,000.
we've already voted on that one.
Excuse me?
We voted on that one.
We did vote, we did
voted,
vote on.
yeah, we voted on that one. I made the motion for that one.
Right.
Yeah, but not 5.
Right, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that that's
Yes.
also getting, the
Yes.
stabilization is going to be to
Yes.
$46,528.
Yep.
So the amount that we're reducing it, which is in Article 5, is going to match what is in Article 6, which is the exact amount.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
We had some long meetings. It wasn't even just.
So can we have a motion, sure, on
Yeah.
that, just to
Yeah,
make
just
sure that we
go
know?
ahead.
I'll make a motion that we reduce the number in Article 5 to $46,528.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
Carol?
Oh, no.
How do you vote?
Oh, sorry, you said that.
I'm going quick here.
Yes, yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Julia?
Aye.
Kirk?
You're on mute, Kirk.
He's taking a call. It's all right. Chair's going to vote aye. It passes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and we already did Article 6, so we're okay. Don't forget, we've also added that map location for Article 8, and Article 9 is not going to be necessary.
So for
Article
Article 8, I have submitted all of that to town council.
Good. So
he
9's not
has
necessary.
everything.
Article 9 is not necessary.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But we did put it in there, so it's
Yeah.
going to appear, and we'll just pass it.
Okay, I didn't know that was...
That's a recent development.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll just take no action. We're all set.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
We peaked out at 200 or 300 at one black.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Carol?
Aye.
Chris? Julia?
Aye.
Kirk? Chair votes aye. We're adjourned.
Goodbye, Kirk.
Yeah.